Welcome to The Lowdown, where we give you the lowdown on everything happening at National Hui 2024. We're coming together as a Baptist whānau from across our 240 faith communities from the 6th to the 9th of November 2024 at Rangiora Baptist. We're looking forward to seeing you there. Tickets are on sale now at hui.baptist.nz. The lowdown on the proposed Serious Misconduct Process. In this episode of The Lowdown, Warner and Wayne Schache from the Baptist National Support Centre give us the lowdown on the proposed Serious Misconduct Process. This conversation is a deep dive, updating us after the recent consultation processes. If you need more background info to get up to speed, you'll find it on hui.baptist.nz under 2023 Big Bites. Don't miss this session at National Hui on the afternoon of Thursday, 7th of November.
Kia ora koutou. I'm Karen Warner and I'm the Leadership Coordination Director for the Baptist Union of New Zealand, and I've got who have I got with me?
Hi Karen, this is Wayne Schache and I'm the Operations and Finance Director for the Union, the 240 churches out there.
That's it. It's good to be here, and thank you, Katarina, for that wonderful introduction to what we're going to talk to you about today. So hopefully you're aware that at National Hui in 2023 there was a large discussion and there was the need for a mechanism to ensure we're keeping our people and places safe. And so we've proposed a serious misconduct process. The process, of course, is not sitting in isolation. It works within our wider safety ecosystem. That's the broader environment, the layers of safety that we have at the local, regional and national level. A white paper, that's sort of an initial discussion, has gone out for consultation in May and July this year. And based on the feedback that we've had, both from individuals and from Regional Hui, we've now got a green paper. So a green paper is that final proposal that's ready for your feedback and for the National Hui this year. So what's it all about, Wayne?
Well, as those of you who were at the Regional Hui would have heard, and it's important to reinforce it now, this is a mechanism to help keep our churches safer. And primarily it's to inform the Assembly Council on removal of pastoral staff from an official list or to remove Baptist registration. It also assists the church in determining whether or not they should be ending a call or removing a pastoral staff member for serious misconduct. So what it doesn't cover is misconduct from a pastoral staff member, which by definition is not serious misconduct, but nor does it cover serious misconduct or misconduct from staff that are not pastoral staff. And so that gives an idea of the fact that this serious misconduct process doesn't sit alone. It sits alongside existing frameworks that we already have, and it complements the current complaints process that deals with all these other type of complaints as well. So the other thing that is important to know is this can run in parallel with a criminal investigation, and it doesn't replace an investigation that may be from an external agency as well.
So we received over 30 individual and joint submissions, as well as group feedback at each of the regional hui that I mentioned earlier. For me, it was particularly pleasing to see that eldership teams had sat together and considered the proposal and then sent in a joint submission. As we considered the feedback, there were a number of themes that emerged. One that came up multiple times was the desire for greater involvement by the church in the process. And you'll see that when you read the green paper, we've addressed this by adding a church representative to the renamed Serious Misconduct Panel, which we'd formerly called the representatives.
Yeah, and another theme that emerged was just the threshold around definitions for serious misconduct. And we had made the decision to not go and upfront define what serious misconduct was before we listened and got feedback. And so now these wider, fuller definitions of what we and the people together think a serious misconduct is included in the green paper. And that's all been framed by the feedback that's come and the listening at the regional hui.
Yeah, there was another sort of theme that emerged too. It came up both in the oral feedback at the regional hui and in some of the written submissions, was the intersection between Baptist polity, who are we as New Zealand Baptists, and something like an external serious misconduct process. So in response to this, I asked Martin Sutherland, who is senior pastor at Avonhead Baptist, and probably, and he might not like me saying this, our preeminent New Zealand Baptist historian and scholar, all things you ever need to know about being a New Zealand Baptist, Martin knows. I asked him to address this issue that seemed to be rising, and his response we have published along with the Green Paper, and hopefully you have had a chance to read that article on the Baptist app that was published a week or two back.
So we sought expert advice from within the movement, and we also sought expert advice from outside the movement, and particularly from our legal advisors. And one of the issues that was highlighted by those with legal expertise was the need that the respondent needs to be able to appeal a decision of the Assembly Council. So legally, if the decision had been made by the Assembly Council, the respondent wouldn't have a higher authority to go to whom they could appeal, because for us, the Assembly Council is that highest level. And so to address that issue, it was recommended that the Assembly Council designate or delegate decision-making authority to what we now call the Serious Misconduct Panel. And then this allows for the Assembly Council to be the final appeal authority. And this change has also been captured in the Green Paper.
You know, listeners, I really do wish that you could see what was going on in the room today. Wayne's been waving his arms around quite beautifully as he's been describing that to you. So there were other, of course, highlighted issues and concerns that we've been unable to add or address in the process itself. So what we've done is we've included those in a frequently asked questions document that we've attached with the Green Paper.
And the Assembly Council has agreed to have a vote at the National Hui 2024 on the proposed processes, with implementation by local churches being an opt-in process during 2025. And the process will continue to be reviewed and shaped over time, particularly as things such as the recommendations from the Royal Commission of Inquiry into Abuse and Care are implemented or refined by either the government or by us as an organisation.
So you might be asking yourself, so what do I need to think about now? Well, the key thing is for delegates and for their churches to consider in the lead up to National Hui 2024 is whether this process that's being proposed meets the need that we identified as a union of churches to be keeping people safe, especially our most vulnerable. And also, does it help prevent a pastor who has been found to have committed serious misconduct from moving to another church?
And so I guess one of the questions that has been raised, and you may be thinking, is what will this mean for my faith community? What will it mean for my Baptist church or my fellowship? If the proposal is accepted, local faith communities can choose to opt into the process during 2025, and then we will have more consultation over the period between Hui this year and Hui next year on how that process could be more or could be incorporated more formally into our movement. A faith community who has opted into the process will be required to report to the National Support Centre complaints team, that's through complaints@baptist.org.nz, any allegations or confessions of serious misconduct against or by pastoral staff, whether that's a present something that's happened or a historical one, any resignations by pastoral staff following an allegation or confession of serious misconduct, or any dismissals of pastoral staff for serious misconduct. Now, just remember, we might also receive notice through the complaints process from other people outside the church as well. So we will be able to receive complaints or concerns from a vast range of people, but our faith communities who opt in, the expectation is that they will self-report.
So, how can you contribute to the conversation? Well, come along to National Hui 2024. It's in Rangiora this year. Of course, the open consultation's now closed and the proposal is in its final form, but there's still space for discussion on the floor of National Hui on the Thursday afternoon prior to voting. So what do you need to do if you're a delegate in preparation for that discussion? Well, what we're asking you to do is to discuss with your wider church, including the leadership team or elders, pastoral staff, congregation members, the view they want represented in this discussion before coming to National Hui 2024. It's really important, and I really want you to note this, it's really important to understand that views expressed by delegates, that is, those of you who are tasked with representing your church, should always be those of the church as a whole and not merely your personal opinions. And I think we haven't always done this really well in the past as Baptists. I'm really hopeful this year we're going to get this done really well.
And that's Karen with her Baptist with the capital B hat on.
That's it, my capital
and
B
she's
hat.
She's pointing her fingers, let alone me throwing my arms around. So what are the next steps? Well, more information about the proposed serious misconduct process, including the green paper and also Martin's paper, and articles about the National Hui 2023 discussions that sort of prompted this process, can be found by visiting either hui.baptist.nz or leadership.baptist.nz. And we really hope that you guys and your elders and your congregations will take advantage of looking at that resource and giving it a really good read.
So it's over and out from Karen.
And from Wayne.
And we'll see you at Hui 2024.
Woo!